shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Starting this morning with dual Doppler 5000 radar. Just a little bit of light activity out there. I'll show you what you could run into for your morning commute.
This morning, floodwaters are receding, revealing the extent of the damage in the mountains of North Carolina. The focus today as hundreds remain unaccounted for.
Plus, incredible new video from Boone. The moment a woman narrowly escapes being swept away by a mudslide.
And just hours ago, thousands of port workers along the East Coast walked off the job. How this could affect things like your next trip to the grocery store, to recovery efforts in Western North Carolina after Helene. Yet the contract expired at midnight, and so those folks are on strike. That includes the Port of Wilmington and Morehead City. Good morning, everyone. It is 4:31. We are tracking all these big stories for you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, it's good to have you along here. Hoping for better news. When I woke up, I knew the deadline came at midnight. Could affect some of those relief efforts up in the mountains as well. We'll get to all that, plus Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with what the dual Doppler 5000 looks like.
And we still have an unsettled pattern here. The remnants of Helene, that low pressure system, will be moving across our area and then away once we get through this evening. And then we get back to a drier weather pattern. But we do have the potential for a few isolated showers out there this morning. We're going to zoom in here. Just this tiny little shower moving through Youngsville. If you're in Youngsville or Wake Forest, you might start to hear that up on the roof here shortly. Futurecast picking up on those showers up to the north and east, and that will continue on and off this morning. But notice at 6 o'clock, we're pretty dry. We may see a few holes in the clouds. We also have some patchy fog. We're going to talk about who's more likely to see that coming up in a little bit. You can see our coverage of rain today is fairly minimal, but we get to 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and there is at least the potential for a few isolated showers to pop up. And then eventually that low moves out, and we get into a drier pattern tomorrow. Temperatures are in the 60s this morning. We'll climb into the upper 70s for highs this afternoon. We have our eyes on the tropics. 40% chance that we see another system develop down here in the Gulf of Mexico. And as we get into next week, it's possible that that system could affect the United States. Right now, this version of Futurecast, we take it out to Saturday, and you can see just a little bit of development here, and that potentially moves here into the Gulf of Mexico and fizzles out. It may bring some rain to Florida, but it doesn't at this point look like it's going to be a big system that causes a lot of problems. We'll take a look. We still have some other systems we're watching in the tropics. I'll show you that coming up.
This morning, hundreds of people in Western North Carolina still unaccounted for. Floodwaters are receding, giving us a better idea of just how catastrophic the damage is. Today, rescue crews will try to reach some communities that have been entirely cut off. Damaged roads and power, cell, and internet outages are making it extremely difficult to reach them. 49 people are confirmed dead in North Carolina. At least 40 of those deaths are in Buncombe County. Asheville's mayor says that 600 people are still unaccounted for in Asheville. She also says water service in the area could be out for weeks. Also, the port strike that got underway at midnight could have major impacts on recovery efforts in the mountains. More on that in just a few moments.
At first, we want to get to WRAL's Brett Nace. He joins us live from Asheville this morning. Brett, you're in that River Arts district, so hard hit, just destroyed by that flooding.
Jeff, it really is. And, just here at night, putting our big light on, it's revealing just so much more damage here on Riverside Drive. This is one of the bridges that enters into the River Arts District. That floodwater damaging so much of this here. You could actually reveal some of the infrastructure that is underneath the road. We should not be able to see that yellow piping, anything that's under there. It is incredible to look at something like this here, as the damage really is just so widespread. Of course, the damage not limited to just one area. I want to show you this. This is Wilson's Riverfront RV Park. It was decimated by flooding. You can see campers thrown everywhere. Some of them are in trees, others absolutely ripped apart. Lori Winchell was here when it started to flood, and she helped others get out in time.
There's not a building left. There was a two-story house there. It's gone. The next building down is Wilson's Riverfront RV Repair, and that had water come, I believe, over the roof.
Meanwhile, distribution sites are now finally up and running. The line for those extremely long. Of course, the road to recovery is just getting started. I mean, seeing some of this damage, all this debris built up right here at the bridge, is just so many things that are out of place. It is incredible to look at. We're going to continue to do that all morning long and bring you these stories here in Asheville. Live in Asheville, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
President Biden plans to visit the area and look at the damage tomorrow. Biden says he will land in Raleigh to receive a briefing by the Emergency Operations Center, and then he will take an aerial tour of Asheville. The president says he also plans to visit Georgia and Florida soon. You can count on WRAL to cover Biden's visit.
More than 300 roads are still closed in the mountains because of rock slides, mudslides, collapsed bridges and roads. This video right here from the North Carolina Division of Aviation shows some of the damage roads have had from washouts because of flooding. NCDOT says all travel in the western part of our state should be for emergencies only. I-40 remains impassable in several spots. I-26 is now fully open. Buncombe County officials are encouraging organizations to use that route, I-26, to bring water and supplies to those hard-hit areas.
At midnight, more than 45,000 port workers all along the East Coast went on strike. Workers made good on their threat to strike if an agreement on a new contract was not made. And WRAL's Kelsey Coffey joins us live from Cary. And Kelsey, this could affect everything from grocery prices to recovery efforts for Hurricane Helene.
Renee, exactly. Just a widespread impact. This strike could cost the U.S. economy more than $4 billion per day. And you could notice the impacts of this on your next grocery store trip. Tens of thousands of longshoremen went on strike as of this morning. They're demanding higher pay and more protections against automation. This could impact recovery efforts in western North Carolina. There may not be an immediate effect, but we could see impacts down the line when it comes time to rebuild the area. There may be no way to ship construction materials. As for everyone else, you could feel the impact on your pocket. If the strike lasts too long, it may cause inflation to tick back up.
We will see some selected prices in retail stores go up, particularly if you're talking about food, something that people are very conscious about because they buy it every day. Things like some vegetables, some fruits.
Now, President Biden does have the power to end this strike, but his administration says that he won't do that. He won't demand people to go back to work out of respect for workers' rights. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Cary.
Let's talk a little bit about why these people are striking this morning as I show you some live images from Philadelphia. Good morning. I'm Chris Levingood here in the WRAL Live Center. There are some people outside right now outside of a port in Philadelphia striking because they essentially want more pay over the life of a new contract, and they also want protection against automation. That's been something that's been seen as a serious threat to their particular industry. And we're talking about this being the first strike from this union, the International Longshoremen's Association, in 47 years. So think about that. The union statement says, quote, "We are hopeful that this could allow us to fully resume collective bargaining around the other outstanding issues in an effort to reach an agreement." And regarding them talking of trying to reach some kind of agreement. And I just want to show you one last thing, this map here on the other screen, in terms of how many ports we're seeing affected, including the possible recovery efforts for Helene, as we just heard Kelsey say, 36 different ports, including Wilmington that we see in North Carolina. So we're definitely watching to see what the total impact of this will be. But we're talking about this strike costing billions of dollars per day for the American economy.
Amazing video shared to Instagram shows a mudslide wiping out a home in western North Carolina. I want to take you to that video now. It's taken in Boone during destruction by Helene. And in the video, you see a car that ended up on the roof of a home. According to a GoFundMe page linked to the account that posted the video, no one was hurt out of all this.
Tonight, Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz will square off for their only vice presidential debate. We gave you a sneak peek of that. CBS News is hosting the debate. You can watch it live on WRAL with full coverage starting at 8 p.m.
Could learn more today about Johnson & Johnson's plan to bring more jobs to Wilson. Pharmaceutical giant is planning a $1 billion factory. It would employ at least 420 people. More specifics on that plan could be released today.
It is 4:39. A man is being hailed a hero after risking his life to save a woman from floodwaters in western North Carolina.
And I just couldn't watch her die. I felt like I needed to do that.
The daring rescue that was all caught on camera.
Also caught on camera, a warning about salt water and electric cars. How a Tesla caught on fire inside a garage during Hurricane Helene.
And we'll give you a live look at North Hills in Raleigh this morning. You can see the cloudy skies. We're starting off foggy in some places this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us when we have a chance to see showers.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
It is 4:43, still an unsettled weather pattern with us today. But we don't have a lot of rain to show you this morning, at least not just yet. Right here in the northern part of Wake County, tiny little cell moving from Youngsville toward Wake Forest. That one's going to dissipate pretty quickly. We do have just a small chance for showers and thunderstorms today. 20% chance this morning. A little bit of fog out there. We'll take a look at visibility in just a couple of minutes. And just a 30% chance later this afternoon that we can see a few pop-up showers or thunderstorms. We take a look at what's happening out there right now. Again, a lot of cloud cover. It's a little bit foggy here in Wilson. 69 degrees there, 71 in Durham, and 70 in Fayetteville. So it still feels like summer as you're heading out the door. Shorts and t-shirts for kids heading out to the school bus this morning. This afternoon, temperatures will be in the upper 70s, and we'll talk more about what's happening coming up.
We're seeing some more of the extensive damage in other parts of the North Carolina mountains. This is what it looks like in Burnsville. That's in Yancey County, north of Black Mountain. Roads washed away, rocks strewn about. Many trees are down and debris is everywhere.
This dramatic video shows the moments a Wake County man saved a woman's life in Helene's flooding. So Eddie Hunnell jumped into raging floodwaters to save Leslie Worth as her Ashe County home was swept away. Hunnell lives in Holly Springs, but was in Ashe County for his son's wedding. What was supposed to be a weekend of celebration turned to danger in the flooding. Hunnell saw Worth in the home floating down the New River, and he grabbed a life vest and rope and went in after her.
I grew up swimming on a swim team. I was a lifeguard. I'm in okay shape, and I just couldn't watch her die. I felt like I needed to do that.
Leslie and her husband Phil posed with Hunnell after they got out of the water, and they were bonus guests at the wedding rehearsal dinner after losing all their personal belongings.
Surveillance video from Helene's impact on Florida is showing the danger of saltwater flooding and electric cars. A Florida family shared this video of their Tesla bursting into flames right in their garage, caused their house to burn down. 6 to 8 inches of storm surge got into that garage, causing the car to burst into flames. Local officials are telling people whose electric cars were exposed to salt water to move them at least 50 feet from their homes because of that ongoing danger that they could catch on fire.
We're hearing from 2 witnesses who tried to save a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old from an apartment fire in Raleigh. Tragically, those children both died. The fire happened early Sunday morning on Cantwell Court off North Raleigh Boulevard. And a neighbor who did not want to be identified says she woke up to the children's mother frantically knocking on her door.
The dead of night, we just hear banging, 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 banging and screaming. We wake up, we come outside, she comes around the corner, and the woman is just holding her children. They're lifeless.
Investigators have not released a possible cause of the fire, and the mother did not require medical attention.
Sports World is mourning the death of former NBA star and humanitarian Dikembe Mutombo. He died Monday at 58 after battling brain cancer. After his NBA career, he dedicated his life to charitable health care efforts in his native Democratic Republic of Congo and other developing countries. Former President Barack Obama remembered Mutombo in a statement on X, saying, quote, his work as the NBA's first global ambassador changed the way athletes think about their impact off the court. Detroit Lions put on an offensive show in their Monday night game against the Seattle Seahawks. They scored 6 touchdowns on their way to a 42-29 win. Gave Seattle its first loss of the season. Now both teams are 3-1.
The Tennessee Titans had their first win of the season, but they lost their starting quarterback. Will Levis went down with a shoulder injury in the first quarter in Miami. Backup quarterback Mason Rudolph went in the game and led them to victory. The Titans beat the Dolphins 31-12.
4:48 is the time right now, and we continue to check Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center because of what's happening on satellite radar. Not as much as yesterday going on.
We're finally going to see this low moving out. This low yesterday was sitting closer to the mountains, and that low is the remnants of Helene. Over the weekend, it sat over Tennessee and Kentucky and just really weakened considerably. So it's pretty weak at this point. It will continue to bring us some slightly unsettled weather. It's a little cloudy out this morning. We have enough moisture lingering for a few isolated showers. We'll zoom in, and you can see here on dual Doppler 5000, a little bit of rain up into Virginia and just this one tiny shower in our viewing area. Just moved past Youngsville, moving over Wake Forest. If you're in Wake Forest, you may hear a little bit of rain on the roof. It may briefly be heavy, and that one's going to fizzle out pretty quickly. We check Futurecast, and we'll see a good bit of cloud cover, some patchy fog this morning. The best chance for rain today is going to be closer to the low, so it's going to be mainly north and east. I mean, there could be a shower anywhere, but that's going to be our best chance of seeing any rain today. Notice toward the evening, we start to see those clouds breaking up as that low pulls out, and our flood risk also mainly in our northeastern counties, and that's going to include parts of Edgecombe County, parts of Northampton, Halifax, and Warren counties there in the northeast. We check what's happening around here this morning. When I walked in, there were a few holes in the clouds. It looks like those have filled in, most likely here in downtown. This is a look at the legislative building, and you can see there, even though it's dark, that it is cloudy. 71 with a dew point of 69, so it feels very summer-like, very moist, very humid as you step out the door. And we take a look at visibility. Right now, we're not looking at a lot of widespread problems. The 2 miles here in Lewisburg and Rocky Mount, definitely a sign of some low cloud cover. We head down to the south. We do have quarter-mile visibility in Irwin. We would consider that fog, so definitely patchy out there this morning. 78 for the high this afternoon in Raleigh, 75 Durham, and 83 in Fayetteville, again with a small chance of a thunderstorm. We're not getting rid of this humidity anytime soon. We're going to hold it in the humid category all the way into Saturday. And then after that, we might get a little bit of a break. Take a look at this. Now, this is a lot of times when we show you green, it's rain. This green is moisture or humidity in the atmosphere. And so we'll see a lot of that today. Notice how green we are. But we get into Wednesday, Thursday, it begins to ease up. It doesn't completely go away. You can see it's kind of light green. But finally by Sunday, look at that. We are looking at all the green to the south. That's going to feel pretty comfortable for us on Sunday. Finally, we're going to get rid of this tropical air mass. As we take a look at Sunday, temperatures are still likely to be in the low 80s. So it's going to be warm, but we'll be able to drop some of that humidity. Tropics are still active. A couple of storms have fizzled out. So we'll take a closer look at that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Recovery efforts are underway in other states by Helene, including Florida, hit by Helene, including Florida. The new video we're seeing of the storm damage there.
Former President Jimmy Carter turns 100 today. The celebrations planned today for the centenarian. A man hiked 11 miles and 2,200 feet of elevation in the North Carolina mountains to make sure his parents were okay after Hurricane Helene. Sam Perkins' parents live near Spruce Mountain, about an hour from Asheville. He says when he didn't hear from them Saturday morning, he got in his car and started driving. Perkins says when he got to the area, all the roads were blocked off. So that's when he got out of his car and started walking and hiking. Thankfully, his parents are okay.
You know, just was the greatest relief I've had in my life, and just hugged him as tight as I could, and bawled, and then went inside and found my mom and did the same.
His parents do have food. They're almost out of water, though. They do have enough propane, he says, to boil some water if needed.
Such a loving son. People in Florida are cleaning up after the devastating impact of Helene. This video shows the damage in the city of St. Pete Beach near St. Petersburg. The storm brought a sweeping storm surge as it made landfall Thursday night as a Category 4. It's been called the worst storm in a century for the Tampa Bay region.
Several communities in our area are celebrating National Night Out tonight. It's a chance to meet law enforcement in your neighborhood. Durham Police Department will host an event tonight from 4 to 8 at police headquarters on East Main Street. Rolesville Police will have an event from 5 to 7 at Redford Place Park. The city of Sanford will have a celebration 5:30 to 7:30 at the Municipal Center. And Rocky Mount Police will host their event outside the historic train station on Coastline Drive. That starts at 5:30. You can find more events on our website, WRAL.com.
Today, Jimmy Carter is 100 years old. He's the first former president to live to 100. He spent the last 19 months in hospice care in his home in Plains, Georgia. Today, the town plans a concert in his honor. And in St. Paul, Minnesota, Habitat for Humanity volunteers are celebrating with a 5-day effort to build 30 houses. Carter and his wife Rosalind became top ambassadors for the organization after he left office.
I've built thousands over the years. Floodwater in western North Carolina is starting to recede. The rescue efforts underway to reach communities that had been completely cut off.
Plus, how a student at App State escaped her car after it got trapped in rising water.
A major escalation in the Middle East as Israeli troops begin a ground operation in Lebanon.